By the 1950s, enough time had passed for Hollywood to confidently identify the jazz age as kitsch. Television was giving currency to long-forgotten silent flicks as cheap way to fill up hours in its schedules. The major studios began to remake early sound musicals and release biopics of stars of the bygone era. It was in 1950 when Sunset Boulevard's faded silent movie star Norma Desmond declared, "I am big, it's the pictures that got small." Singin' in the Rain's key plot exposes the then unknown practice of dubbing film stars' voices, at the same time as employing that very technique, with Debbie Reynolds' voice in the solo numbers being dubbed by the singer Betty Noyes. Now, the word dubbing is a shortening of doubling, and this movie brims with doubles. It's both a smart, affectionate dissection of the Hollywood musical, whilst doubling as a Hollywood musical itself. The star does double duty as choreographer, the producer doubles as the lyricist. And whilst Don and Cosmo are the on-screen double act, there are two double acts behind the camera, working as co-directors and co-writers. And what's more, make 'em laugh will make you bent double. The movie depicts the making of a silent picture called The Dueling Cavalier, which is set in the French Revolution. And revolution is another key theme. Those who can adapt to the new world survive. A stuntman must learn to act. Dramatic actors must learn to sing, and silent film must learn to talk. Upon release, the movie was a huge success, and as time has passed, it has become Hollywood's most inevitable musical. It's the only film musical in the Sight and Sound Top 100, and it's the only musical to explore the role of sight and sound on film. The songwriters Arthur Freed and Nacio Herb Brown wrote the score for MGM's first film musical, The Broadway Melody, in 1929. And Freed and Brown were first-hand witnesses to the challenges encountered in the transition from silent to sound. Freed graduated to being a producer, making solid gold prestige musicals for MGM. And by the 1950s, a popular genre was the trunk musical, what we would today call the jukebox musical. It was packaged a selection of hits from particular songwriters, usually in the form of a biography. Having provided the service for other tunesmiths, Freed wished to devote an entire picture to his own back catalogue and selected the title from his biggest hit song. It was the writers Betty Comden and Adolph Green who were given the arduous task of sculpting a story. Comden and Green had established themselves as clever, witty screenwriters with a penchant for satire and parody. They considered turning an existing film into a musical, and whilst they rejected that idea, they incorporated that into their screenplay. Their inspiration came from the idea that the story should take its cue from the atmosphere in which the songs were written, rather than the content of the lyrics. Now, with Kelly on board as the star, director, and choreographer, he needed someone he could trust behind the camera. Kelly worked as co-director with Stanley Donen, with whom he had worked for many years developing cine dance, that is, dance created especially with the camera in mind. The camera's movements being integrated with the choreography. Kelly and Donen shifted the focus in the script from being a singer's musical to being a dancer's musical. Under their influence, the dueling cavalier became the dancing cavalier. Kelly alters the lyrics to the line of the song to be "I'm singing and dancing in the rain," and the theme of the Broadway ballet is "Gotta Dance." Now, as a choreographer, Kelly sought to innovate and drew inspiration from a variety of dance styles, including ballet, jazz, and tap, as much as he was influenced by gymnastics. He often employed bricolage, and that is the incorporation of everyday objects from the environment into his dance. And I think that gives the dance a certain improvisatory feel. Kelly worked to ensure that his dance developed naturally from the plot, not being visually impressive only, but also conveying the personalities and emotions of the characters involved. Note how the boisterous energy in the dance movement at the start of the film gives way to dance of greater depth and emotion as the film develops. Kelly said that everything in Singin' in the Rain was based on truth. The team consulted with the likes of comedian Buster Keaton and technical and production crew veterans from the silent era who were still working at MGM. The movie includes several references to real-life people, and this gives the film a certain documentary-like quality. In a sense, the film was shot on location, given that its setting is the world of movie production. And it makes use of genuine film equipment and furniture from the late 1920s. The sound booth featured in the film was reconstructed from plans which were found in storage. And the costume designer Walter Plunkett based his 500 costumes on genuine designs he'd made 25 years before. The love interest for 39-year-old Kelly was played by the 19-year-old Debbie Reynolds. By her own admission, she wasn't much of a singer, dancer, or actor, but what she had was bucketfuls of moxie and a gymnast's strength. Kelly's 3 assistant dance directors worked with Reynolds for 8 to 10 hours a day to develop her dance skills. Jean Hagen was cast as Lena Lamont, and the voice she employs in the role was influenced by Judy Holliday's star turn in the film Born Yesterday from 1950. And despite the big talents in the film, Hagen dazzles and very nearly steals the entire picture. Kelly and Donnan cast a veteran vaudevillian hoofer Donald O'Connor as Cosmo. His ability to connect with the audience through the camera brings an extra dimension to the film, and it's a huge shame that this is the only film that Kelly and O'Connor made together. Now, they were looking for a solo number for O'Connor to perform, and Kelly and Donnan went to Freed and said that they'd like a new song, something like, I don't know, Be a Clown from The Pirate, which Kelly had danced 2 years before. What they got was something very much like Be a Clown, in that it has a remarkably similar tune. Now, lest this should spoil your enjoyment of the number, I should say that Cole Porter was classy and ignored the plagiarism, so let's ignore it too. Now, most of the gags, gurning and slapstick in the breathtaking routine came from O'Connor's many years' experience in vaudeville. O'Connor is wearing padding throughout the number, and he's performing on a concrete floor. After filming, his body was battered and bruised and covered in carpet burns, and he had to spend 3 days in bed recuperating. When he returned to the set, he was told that a technical problem had ruined all the footage that they had taken, and he would have to film it again. Bravely, he did so and had to spend a further 3 days in bed. Now, the most iconic moment in the film is the moment when Kelly sings In the Rain. He realised that the routine needed to be placed at a point in the film when Don Lockwood's personal and professional life had turned a corner. The iconic do-de-do-do-do, I'm not going to sing it, do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do introduction was suggested by the music director Roger Edens as a way to naturally transition from speech into song. Kelly said of his dances that he liked to tell the audience what he was going to do and then do it. In the routine, he wanted to demonstrate that Don's joy was despite the weather, and he wanted to do this by capturing the unalloyed pleasure that children feel when they're splashing in puddles. The camera glides gracefully with Kelly as he moves through the street, playing Charlie Chaplin and Douglas Fairbanks, leaping on lampposts as passers-by look on in confusion. The number was a technical challenge, requiring sophisticated engineering to produce exactly the right amount of water in the right place. All the while, Kelly has to hit his marks in slippery conditions. The Dream Ballet had become a popular feature of musicals in the mid-20th century and was an opportunity to show a character's psychology. The musical backdrop for this ballet was created by merging two songs, the Broadway melody and the Broadway rhythm, which provided the theme of the story of a young dancer working his way up in showbiz. This sequence exposes the grubby underbelly of the entertainment industry, lifting the lid on gangster connections that propped up the careers of certain stars and who provided drugs and prostitution in Hollywood. O'Connor was unavailable for shooting, and with dance not being Reynolds' strong suit, the part of the vamp was created for the wonderful Sid Charisse. Donnan thought that the ballet interrupted the flow of the main plot, and you'll see that the ballet echoes many of the themes from the main story, and it can be seen as a welcome break from the breakneck wisecracking, bringing a little darkness and maturity to the lightness of the rest of the picture. The ballet cost $600,000, which was a quarter of the film's total budget, and was in rehearsal for 1 month and took 2 weeks to shoot, whereas the Broadway melody in 1929 had taken 26 days to shoot. Singin' in the Rain was in production for 8 months. Now, before its release, Kelly and Donnan cut 18 minutes from the running time, which included 2 filmed musical numbers. The movie was an instant hit, with fans ranging from Charlie Chaplin to François Truffaut. And I think the critic Philip French put it most memorably when he said that this film should be prescribed as therapy for those who are depressed. Watch out if you can get your head around, I don't think this is even double irony, I think this is like quadruple irony. At the point where Debbie Reynolds is supposedly dubbing the speaking voice of Lena Lamont, Jean Hagen's character, what you're actually hearing is Jean Hagen dubbing for Debbie Reynolds, who is dubbing Jean Hagen. Also, watch out for the ballet. So for many years, I was really taken by that twisty leg, kind of Martha Graham modern dance in the ballet. And I thought, wow, what's going on here? Why are they suddenly really tipping into something that's modern and cool and funky? And may have something to do with the fact that Sid Charisse was quite similar in height to Gene Kelly. I think he was trying to get their heights a little bit shifted there. As Aga said, if you love musicals, keep an eye out for the incredible Ginger Rogers season, which is coming. And Easter Saturday, BFI is going to be showing 3 Fred and Ginger movies in a row. I mean, who wants to go out and see sunshine, stay inside in a dark day and watch some Fred and Ginger movies? I'm going to be there talking about the magic of Fred and Ginger on that day. If you enjoyed this conversation, everyone, tell your friends I've been Miles Eady. If you didn't enjoy the conversation, tell your friends I'm Mark Kermode. So everyone, I want you to enjoy the film, and I can guarantee that when you leave here, you will be leaving with a smile on your face, you will walk down the lane with a happy refrain, and you'll be singing just... Singing.